Taylor Sakai with Tridents Against Tyrants. And today we will be discussing a few different topics. First and foremost, I want to go over the topic of this has been discussed for a few months now. Hold on a sec. Turn off all notifications. I have all notifications turned off on my desktop, and yet for some reason I still get browser notifications, which is very odd. In any case, yeah, I made sure to put the stream up a few hours earlier than usual, and I went ahead and shared in a couple places on Discord. But yeah, if you have a chance, please feel free to share it anywhere you know of, and let's let people know that we're streaming right quick. I know it's really close to the holidays, so we'll probably have less people than usual today. But in any case, let me go ahead and open up something right quick. And we are live with Restream, as you can see on the screen in front of you, which is a streaming software made in Kiev, made in Ukraine, which is part of the reason why I've been using it. I'm not using it exclusively. I do have other streaming software and tools that I'm using, but since it comes with so many nice features that you can see on the screen built in for supporting Ukraine, and a lot of the more advanced features I need from other stuff, I haven't needed as of yet on the channel. We are sticking with Restream. Now then, hey, Andreas, Monski, Michael, Greg, appreciate seeing all of you. Thanks for coming by. All right, let me pull this up now. There we go. And let's put it in. Oh, shoot. Where's it going to be visible? Where will it be best visible? It's kind of difficult when I've got the chat overlay. Well, okay, here's what I'll do. Yeah, this will work. Pop this over here. All right, there we go. So here is our current progress on the drone fundraisers, and I do have an update. I'm going to post it to the community tab after the stream. I actually have another event right after the stream, and then after that I have some personal matters I need to take care of. So it is a busy Saturday for me. But in any case, with the drone fundraisers, we are continuing to make progress. We are at currently stored in the monobank 95,777.88 hryvnia of 2,078,000, which is quite good. Making steady progress. And 17,934.14 hryvnia for the anti-drone gun. Now, the update that I'm going to put onto the community tab is related to the fact that for anyone who is unaware, in fact, let me pull up something right quick. We'll start with this headline. Oh, and in fact, perfect timing. There is an update to this situation right now. So for anyone who is unaware, there had been protests at the Polish border. And these protests had been ongoing for a while, like a week or two ago. They were fairly big. Now they have subsided a bit. They have still been active, even though they haven't been covered in the news very much. But yeah, they were still ongoing. And just today, like 3 hours ago, I'm seeing news outlets announcing that there's going to be a shift, going to be a change in that. So let me upload this so you can see it. On. Make it a little bigger. Oh, and if you're confused about why you see both of the owls right now, it's because the classic owl, most people don't know this, but I actually set up the animation myself. I mean, I used a plugin, but I had to create the frames and set it up myself for some of the software I use. And for some reason, I got it working perfectly with the old owl, but the new one I was running into some issues with the setup, so I have to tinker with that more. So if you see the old owl, you'll know that I'm on the old software. If you see the new owl, you'll know that I'm using the new software because I like to blend the two together. Anyway, turn that off for now. So I'll put a link to this article in the description below. But the reason why this is important for our fundraiser is because for a little while, we've been continuing to gather funds, but you may have noticed that, I mean, there have been some updates on Rick's channel. Some propellers were delivered and put onto some of the drones. Um, and there's been a few things that have come in, that have been purchased. But there was kind of a moment where we were having trouble getting stuff over the border from Poland to Ukraine. And, uh, of course, we're still continuing to save the money so that we're ready as soon as everything is fully open to get it where it needs to go in Ukraine. But yeah, this is something that's been an ongoing issue, not just for us, but for multiple people fundraising in Ukraine, for multiple people needing a lot of different supplies in Ukraine. So, all right. Yeah, we continue to hope that that will improve. And the most recent announcement is that the Polish farmers will suspend their protest at the Ukraine border truckers stay on. So we're going to read this for a sec. From Warsaw, December 23rd, Reuters is the news outlet. Polish farmers will suspend a protest at the border crossing with Ukraine at Medica from Sunday, but truckers will continue blockades at 3 other crossings over Christmas and will allow even fewer trucks to pass than earlier. So let me repeat that. Protests, even though it's covered in the news less, are still ongoing in Poland. And we are still seeing trucks being blocked from passing. This is something the Polish government has been working hard to get under control. But of course, part of the reason why you see some people protesting is they don't like the new Polish government who has come to power. So unfortunately, a lot of this is a domestic spat within Polish politics uh, in of itself. I won't oversimplify it by saying that's the only reason, but hopefully this will be something that can be negotiated and come to an end very soon. Polish drivers have been blocking several crossings with Ukraine since November 6th, demanding the European Union reinstate a system whereby Ukrainian companies need permits to operate in the bloc, and the same for European truckers seeking to enter Ukraine. They were later joined by farmers who demanded government subsidies for corn and no hikes in taxes. Roman Kondraw, one of the leaders of the protesting farmers, said after talks with Agriculture Minister Czesław Siekierski that the protest in Medica will be suspended from Sunday morning until January 2nd or 3rd of 2024, PAP news agency reported. However, truckers said they would stay on the border over Christmas and will let through only one commercial truck every 3 hours instead of 3 every hour. So as you can see, it's not a full and total blockade. There's kind of this strategic room for negotiations, but I'll just go ahead and say this as a quick call to everyone who is watching the stream or watching the video after it's been recorded. If you know anyone from Poland who is pro-Ukraine, who is pro-Ukrainian, does not want to see Ukraine suffer or see the Ukrainian war effort come to a standstill, please talk to them. send them articles, send them videos, let them know how important this is, because the longer we see blockades like this happen, whether they get news coverage, more or less news coverage, whatever the case might be, the more difficult it is for not just governments, but private individuals to get resources to soldiers, to civilians, to people who need it in Ukraine. So, yeah. All right, we'll move on now, but I wanted to give that quick update. And like I said, I'll also post to the community tab. All right, now then. Next. All right, so next thing we'll go ahead and cover is U.S. and Europe eyeing Russian assets to aid Ukraine as funding dries up. So let me pull this up so you can see it on the screen. Hey, Claire, thanks for joining us. Antone, thank you for being here. Glad to see everybody. All right. Okay, and that should be visible now. Oh, and give me a plus plus in the chat if my volume sounds good or if I'm a little quiet. Seems like it's good on my end, but just wanted to double check. All right, so moving on. Despite legal reservations, policymakers are weighing the consequences of using $300 billion in Russian assets, frozen Russian assets abroad, to help Kiev's war effort. Ukrainian forces received a delivery of artillery shells near the Kupiansk front line last month. With current funding nearly exhausted, American officials have said they are scrambling to find ways to provide aid for Ukraine. Oh, before I move on, I'll go ahead and put the link to the previous article in the chat. And I'll put a link to this article in chat as well. And as usual, these articles will also be in the description of the video once I'm done with the video. To be honest, I should pull some of these up a little sooner before the video, but today has been another very busy day. So here is there's the previous and here's the current article. Now, this one is from New York Times. The Biden administration is quietly signaling new support for seizing more than $300 billion in Russian central bank assets stashed in Western nations, and has begun urgent discussions with allies about using the funds to aid Ukraine's war effort at a moment when financial support is waning, according to senior American and European officials. Until recently, Treasury Secretary Janet L. Yellen had argued that without action by Congress, seizing the funds was not something that is legally permissible in the United States. There has also been concern among some top American officials that nations around the world would hesitate to keep their funds at the New York Federal Reserve or in dollars if the United States established a precedent for seizing the money. So many people, actually, this brings up something very important that's been discussed multiple times about how Russia is now labeled as a terrorist nation by several countries around the world. And now this may sound like just rhetoric, if you're just hearing it in passing, but there is a reason for this, and it's because there's an attempt to create a justification, an important justification for being able to seize Russian assets to give to Ukraine. And that is because countries, whether they like one another or not, typically can't just take one another's assets when they do business with one another in free markets. Whether it's nationalization of corporations and that then private assets are seized from a foreign company, or a situation like this where war is declared and it's a sort of moral and political retaliation, protest against Russia in this case by taking their their funds and giving them to Ukraine, because Ukraine definitely needs them. Either either way, between sovereign nations that are recognized under the UN, under certain laws and treaties, who are constituent members of legal bodies on the international stage, it is heavily frowned upon. And the reason why there's even hesitation on this in the first place, because obviously I think it's a great idea, I wish they would do it right now, is the fact that many other countries who also have, I don't know, smaller, much less extreme disagreements on certain topics, it creates a precedent for a fear that, well, yeah, we don't agree with Russia, but if their assets could be seized, what could prevent, I don't know, insert country name here, our assets from being seized? So, hopefully, this will be something that you know, there can end up being a consensus so that these funds can be seized without causing political fallout that damages the US or EU economies. Until recently, but the administration, in coordination with the group of 7 industrial nations, has begun taking another look at whether it can use its existing authorities or if it should seek congressional action to use the funds. Support for such legislation has been building in Congress, giving the Biden administration optimism that it could be granted the necessary authority. The talks among finance ministers, central bankers, diplomats, and lawyers have intensified in recent weeks, officials said, with the Biden administration pressing Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Canada, and Japan to come up with a strategy by February 24th, the second anniversary of the invasion. Let me highlight that real fast because that's a date to remember. Hopefully, we will have an update by then on this particular topic. And I'm going to put it up on the screen. So, regarding the seizing of frozen Russian assets and officially giving them to Ukraine, hopefully by February 24th, we will have a bit more information on this topic. All right, now then, let's see here. Hey, Anna, Allison. Yeah, thank you for joining. Sally Luce. Yeah, I always like seeing the sunflower icon on your profile. Yeah, welcome. All right, now then, I'll go ahead and switch back to our fundraiser, and let's move over now. So today's stream, two more announcements. First, today's stream may be a bit shorter than usual. I know that many people are preparing for the holidays and or continuing holiday celebrations, depending on which winter holidays you celebrate. But you know, it's December 23rd, so a lot of people are getting ready for Christmas. And also because I have another event coming up right after this stream. Let's see here. All right. Yeah. So the first major announcement is going to be that right after this stream, or rather, since I'm only going for about an hour or an hour and a half, about an hour after the stream is over, there will be a discussion in Discord. I have still been swamped with a million things, work related and volunteer work related for a few other projects I'm involved with. So my personal Discord for Tridents Against Tyrants is still in the works, but once there's an update on that, I'll let you know. This will be in Rick's server, Rick the Ukrainian, and I had his permission to create it there. So if anyone would like to join, this is primarily let me repeat this, or let me say this real fast. For Americans of voting age or EU and NATO citizens of voting age who would have an interest in discussing a persistent and coordinated campaign to contact their representatives on a weekly basis. So basically, we would come together, have a small, brief meeting every week, have a spreadsheet and other tools, and we would be letting congressmen, senators, members of parliament for EU and NATO countries know, hey, please support Ukraine. You are a representative of my government. This is extremely important. We cannot let support begin to wane. And I'll go ahead and put a link to that in the description in the chat right now. So you'll have to have a Discord account if you want to join in, but yeah, if you do, feel free to check out the link. Okay, there we go. All right. So that's the first thing. Second, oh, I guess actually that's both. The stream will be an hour or an hour and a half today, a little bit shorter than usual, and there will be discussion afterward on Discord for anyone interested. All right. Now then, moving on, let's go ahead and take a look at. Let's take a look at the deep state map. Oh, 3 p.m. today. Starsky will be on the shows. That makes sense. That sounds like the usual schedule. Yeah, I'll try to make it. I am going to be busy doing a few things today, so I may only be able to pop in for a second. So once I'm done with all of this stuff I've got to do, I will have. Yeah, I'll be driving. I'll be out and about for a bit, but I'll definitely pop in. Yeah, thank you for letting me know, Greg. All right, here we go. Now then, share screen. Now, actually, interestingly enough, there's still one configuration for this software I need to do mostly for my own convenience, for being able to view a few screens at the same time and keep audio available, but it won't create a problem because I can just share a tab instead of a window. So here we go. All right. There we go. Perfect. Actually, it doesn't even matter if I share a tab or not because there's no audio on this, but either way. All right, so let's take a closer look at the situation here on the front lines. Most recent news that I'm actually seeing here is related to frontline troops, unfortunately, on both sides, but it appears to mostly be on the Russian side, experiencing outbreaks of sickness and food being contaminated by exceptional rat and mice infestations in the trenches, which definitely harkens back to World War One and Two, um, as far as the health situation at the front lines goes. All right, so let's look at the Kupiansk direction and see what changes there have been here recently. We'll go back a full week. Pretty steady. A few shifting positions. Oh, actually, even a bit of land taken back by Ukraine on the 17th. Yeah, and as usual in this general direction, not many changes, but actually a very small net positive, because I do see that on the 17th, 15th, shifting of positions, and 17th, you can see that line moved slightly. So Ukrainians took back a bit of territory heading in the direction of Vorichna. All right. So, yeah. I don't expect we'll see any major shifts over here, but perhaps we'll hear a bit more about Kupiansk in the future. Now, down in Avdiivka, where we are definitely needing those protests at the Polish border to come to an end or have a negotiated halt, something. Let's take a look. Now, there is something here I'm seeing that does concern me a bit, and I hope we see some changes to this, but let me actually, oh, this is from the 17th. Let's see. Yeah. Let me go back a bit. Yeah. Going back earlier this month, the one thing I think that concerns me the most with Avdiivka is this road right here, heading through Pervomaiske, down toward Piski and Vesele, all of these occupied areas around Avdiivka. Not because it would, I guess, be. Well, no, actually, it does concern me, because you'll notice that part of this road is under occupation, part of it is in the gray zone and not fully controlled by anyone, just kind of a no man's land, I suppose you could say, and then part of it is under Ukrainian control. Now, this part under Ukrainian control, you'll notice from this month, a lot of people have focused on the fact that the orcs were kind of pushing to seemingly randomly take land up north, like little bit in directions that aren't even directly toward Avdiivka. But then down here in the south, near occupied Vodiane, on the 17th, the same day actually, that up near Kupiansk, they took a little bit of territory back. This push that took a tiny bit here toward Nevelske, and a little bit more in this direction toward the road going through Pervomaiske. Now, there are these natural land barriers, these little lakes or streams, that kind of interconnect here. So it looks like they're moving along this small country road, or this outlet road. So this may actually make it more difficult. Maybe we won't see a crossing or an attempt to move over to take this road, but that is something I think that Ukraine should keep an eye on, because, I mean, there is a connecting road right here, And if they're pushing here and then they start pushing down south this way, that could be a problem. So I don't know if that actually is the Russian strategy. But if that is something that tactically should be kept an eye on, then I would say definitely avoid this major road being further cut off or coming under full fire control by Russian forces. They're actually close enough here that it might be at least partially under fire control. So in any case, the situation in Avdiivka continues to develop, and yeah, we need to see about getting some FPV drones out there. So hopefully we'll have some good news at the border before too long. Polish border, I mean. All right, shifting now to the south again, Zaporizhia direction. Let's take a look. Everything has been fairly steady. Yeah, just trenches are set up. Russians are very, very focused and kind of paranoid about a breakthrough here, going toward Tokmak. So hasn't been a lot of focus on the south near Zaporizhia. Instead, holding Avdiivka and securing supplies and equipment from allies, increasing domestic production of munitions for artillery shells and other weaponry, and drones, especially drones. And I guess quietly planning the next move on exactly where on this huge front line the next Ukrainian offensive will occur. That's probably what Ukrainian leadership has been doing. And I feel like that's a broad enough statement to not be pointing anything out that would be a problem tactically. Also, this channel is still small enough that I don't think I'm giving away any. Even if I had more spot on analysis on any of this stuff, I don't think there are enough people of strategic importance from the Ukrainian or Russian side who would be watching this video. But regardless, all right, let's take a look at Kherson. Kherson also appears to be pretty steady. I think that a lot of this makes perfect sense because it is wintertime and both sides are kind of, in their trenches, continuing to fight. It is a cold and brutal winter, I'm sure, for soldiers at the front lines. But I don't think we'll see much movement in terms of territory taken, retaken until the springtime. And that's just because of the logistics of how warfare in winter works. All right. Oh, interesting. I see your comment here, Greg, about money. Also, I really like this chat overlay that I have set up because now you can all see what I'm reading. The money that's been seized has still been generating more money. I've heard talk of at least that getting that to Ukraine. So right, because a lot of it is invested. So the dividends, the return on investment, interest from that could possibly be transferred to Ukraine. That would be good. If nothing else, that would be good because that could be a few million or possibly even billion that goes to Ukraine, depending on the percent of interest. Yeah, mouse fever. That's correct. Yeah, mouse fever has been an issue on both sides. But most especially, from what I've heard and seen, Russian trenches and military encampments, especially uh, those that are primarily run by conscripts who don't have much military experience or discipline, not a fun place to be. Not very sanitary. Not uh, yeah. You would definitely want to have all of your shots if you were going to be stuck in a trench like that. Thank you for yes, thank you, Tone. And again, a reminder before the stream is over, I'll put up the link again. But this talk in Discord will be in Rick the Ukrainian server. I am a member in that server and a mod, so I asked permission and was told, you know, go for it. Anything that helps Ukraine is appreciated. And the purpose of the talk will be a primary focus on Americans of voting age, American citizens, to coordinate a campaign to urge Congress, specifically, most especially congressmen who have been holding out, who have not been voting in voting to assist Ukraine. And then also, I wish to speak with EU and EU and NATO citizens of constituent member states of those two organizations, um, to discuss planning out an additional campaign that would be efficient for Europeans as well. All right. So anyway, Kherson, things are steady. Basically, as of this week, this December, we have seen some activity, especially in the Avdiivka direction, but for the most part, it seems to be pretty steady. And moving into January and February, we'll see what happens. All right. Now then. Okay. So, next. Oh, I just realized. Please, everybody remember that if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And I completely forgot because I went into discussing all the other things I had to update you guys on. I am putting up a Q&A. Very simple. Got a question? Feel free to ask here. You can either ask your question by clicking on the Q&A link or by asking in the chat, and my mods will be sure to let me know anything that comes up. All right. Now then. Oh, here's a question. Does anyone know if mouse fever was a problem? Well, I don't know if this was actually for me. I think this was for the whole chat. So chat, feel free to answer CZ in the chat as well. Does anyone know if mouse fever was a problem in World War I or World War II? I think this is because their habitat is being destroyed. The mice are searching for food and warmth. Yeah, honestly, that probably is a big part of it. I mean, mice, rats, rodents in general are typically pretty good about adapting to their environment. So, they find either they find a new environment and they just set up camp and okay, I can do it. I can manage to survive here, especially if there are I won't go into detail because YouTube probably won't like it if I'm describing trench conditions in detail. But yeah, that could be a big part of it. And actually, let's take a look. And here we go. Details on mouse fever. What to know about the virus mowing down Putin's soldiers fighting in Ukraine. Covered by Forbes, which, funny enough, Forbes News has not been the most positive in recent months of their coverage of the war. Not very favorable toward Ukraine. And yet, Stephen Forbes, the owner of pretty much everything Forbes, the entire corporate entity with multiple franchises and subsidiaries, actually released a video in support of Congress, American Congress, sending Ukraine the aid that it needs to win this war. So, yeah, hopefully he does more than just one video and he speaks out about it a bit more ardently, but definitely important to see voices like that, whether you like him or not, speaking in favor of Ukraine. All right, so a disease spread by rodents that causes vomiting and bleeding from the eyes called mouse fever is tearing through Russian troops fighting in Ukraine, according to Ukrainian intelligence, illustrating the poor conditions soldiers face as the war edges towards stalemate and nears the 2-year mark. And I might as well get this right quick so you guys can see the headline. All right. So, the disease affects the kidneys, GUR wrote, meaning infected people can experience severe pain in the lower back and have difficulty urinating. It is spread by rodents and transmitted to humans when they inhale dust from rodent excrement or eat contaminated food. GUR claimed the Russian command is ignoring complaints from its troops about illnesses like mouse fever, believing them to be an excuse to avoid combat duties. GUR did not identify the disease it claims is striking down Russian troops. The agency said it was viral in nature, which, along with its mode of transmission and the symptoms identified, suggests mouse fever could be hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, HFRS, the abbreviation for hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, is a group of clinically similar illnesses caused by a cluster of related viruses known as hantaviruses. They can cause respiratory infections, are carried and transmitted by rodents, and people can become infected following exposure to aerosolized urine, droppings, or saliva. If anyone doesn't want to hear about this, sorry. But it is an important detail. So, in any case, yeah, this is spreading like wildfire on the front line, definitely on the Russian side. And yeah, let me go back to the original question. Thank you for a good question, CZ, for the whole chat. And yeah, I mean, that is logical. I do believe that most likely they're looking for food and warmth, and their habitat probably is being destroyed from warfare, especially in wooded areas. All right. Oh, and for anyone who does want to read more, as usual, here is the article in the chat. Oh, thank you, CF Beauty. I appreciate that. Hey, Taz, CF Beauty, CZ. Yeah. And K&K's GG. Mark Sangamon. I see a lot of familiar faces usernames here. So yeah, thanks for joining. All right, now then, what do we have next? All right, so there's the topic of funds that may be delivered to Ukraine, frozen Russian assets. Probably by February 24th, we'll be hearing more about that. Yeah, and really, I mean, there's been some progress, but there hasn't been anything huge or groundbreaking on that. So hopefully we'll hear more about that soon. Biggest thing I can see is that the bulk of the Russian deposits are believed to be in Europe, including in Switzerland and Belgium, which are not part of the Group of Seven. As a result, diplomatic negotiations are underway over how to gain access to those funds, some of which are held in euros and in other currencies. Yeah. So it can be a little difficult. Countries don't want to hurt their financial reputations, but of course, Russian assets are not typically are not something that I think should be protected at this time with what they have, with what the Russian government has been doing. In any case, one more important thing to note. Okay. Another option is possibly using the funds as collateral for loans to Ukraine. So basically, the funds would be given to. That would be so crazy to me. Let me go ahead and switch. Yeah, let me go ahead and switch this. Basically, what I'm seeing is that there's a discussion in place where funds that would be given to Ukraine from Russia would be a loan, an unwilling loan, basically, from Russia to Ukraine. And then once the war is officially over, however it ends, once Ukraine is victorious, Ukraine would pay the debt back. I don't like that. I prefer for the funds to just be released to Ukraine. I don't like all of the talk of basically playing games with it. I definitely don't like the idea of, a loan being paid back that would go to Russia. So ideally, perhaps the interest payments would be going to Western countries who they seize the Russian money, say this is ours now, and then loan that to Ukraine, and Ukraine pays that country back. But I guess we'll see. We'll see February. Everyone keep an eye on that topic come February. All right. Let's move on to another topic now. We've looked over the deep state map. We're how long into it? We're about 48 minutes in. So we'll keep going for a few more minutes. Yeah. Till about the hour or hour and a half mark. Let's see here. Okay, here's something important that I already posted in a video. And it's going to be discussed a bit more during the Discord meeting after this stream. But yeah, I'm going to open up something else to share on the screen. And there it is. Here we go. Okay, there we are. And I'm going to close out the chat overlay for a sec so you can see this a little bit better. There we go. All right, so I'd already shown this in a video, but this is a website, communityforukraine.org. Oh, actually, let me put that up on the screen too. There we go. Yeah, there we go. communityforukraine.org. And this is a website that is being, I believe it's run by American Coalition for Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken. But in any case, Community for Ukraine is run by, is a project by Americans who support Ukraine's fight for freedom and survival. Volunteers hail from across the United States. They receive no external funding, public or private. And really, this is a call to action website. You'll notice if I go over here on their latest posts, this is a bit outdated. No, not at all. Welcome, Taz. Glad to have you here. And yeah, Russia is going to owe Ukraine many war reparations. That is a solid fact. All right, now, right here, Congress, pass Ukraine aid now. This will be covered in more detail. It's a little outdated because this was originally put up as a kind of call to action for people for Americans specifically to contact their congressmen before the vote earlier this month that did not pass on additional supplemental funding to Ukraine before the winter vacation of Congress in the United States. But the reason why I want to highlight this, and I'll go ahead and put the URL right now in the chat, communityforukraine.org. I mean, you can see it on screen, but I'll put it in chat too. Is because this is a very useful resource for Americans specifically, or at least until March when, or hold on, until the next round of voting that would change your state's House of individual congressmen in the House of Representatives or your senators for your state. This is all up to date. And so until the next round of elections, this is a fantastic way, a fantastic page to go to if you are someone who just wants to quickly find the phone number for your senator's office, be able to find your representative's office, and let them know that you support additional funding going to Ukraine. When Congress is back in session, it should be a top priority. It is something that needs to be passed. You tell them this is an issue that is incredibly important and it will affect my vote next election for who I want to be my representatives. And yeah, be sure to check it out. This is a good resource. Now then, beyond that, oh, I just realized. Let me close this because you can only kind of partially see the screen, huh? Yeah. All right. So, communityforukraine.org, as I have showed you. And there we go. Now you can see the whole thing a bit better. All right. And another one that is additionally quite good, and which many of you probably are already familiar with, is this one. And this website is for an organization called Razom. Their URL is razomforukraine.org. There we go. And that's in the chat now. And basically, this organization is very similar, larger in size than the last one. But if you go to their website, razomforukraine.org, click on projects, go down to, they have a lot of projects. It's not just this that I'm about to show you, but specifically for advocating for billions of dollars to be sent to Ukraine to win this war, which is something that many of us want to be able to give, but obviously we don't have that as individuals. But our voices can help make that a reality, can help to push for that to come to pass. Click on advocacy, go down, and again, this is primarily for viewers who are Americans of voting age. Go down to this link, join our advocacy network, click join us, and you'll see multiple different calls to action that they've had in the past. So from back when they were calling for people to tell Congress to designate Wagner Group a foreign terrorist organization, tell members of Congress to declare Russia's actions in Ukrainian genocide, tell them to condemn the illegal abduction of Ukrainian children by Russia. These should all still be active. But of course, the most recent ones would be the ongoing illegal abduction and holding of children from Ukrainian children from occupied territories, and telling Congress to pass supplemental funding for Ukraine now. So this website, if I click on the most recent one, it is. I've already tested it. It does work very well. It's quite professional. Now it does ask for more. Hold on. Oops. Hold on a sec. Yeah. So check out their website. All right. And that will be a very helpful resource to have. All right. So next we have all right. Let's see what else. We'll discuss those in more detail later today during the stream. All right. Now, I think that's about it for today. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, we're just doing a short stream this week. But again, our fundraiser is still ongoing. So let me go ahead and pull that up again. And there we go. So definitely please, if you are able to, we appreciate all donations. And we make sure to document when things are arriving. As I said, the situation with the Polish border, there are updates and it will hopefully be resolved here very soon. But yeah, we definitely greatly appreciate any support that everyone has to give. And yeah, together we're going to go ahead and we're going to get these drones over there. If I need to, I will find ways to get them over from somewhere other than Poland, if necessary. That does become more complicated, but we'll get it all figured out. And yeah, just continue to stand with Ukraine. Continue to do everything that you guys do. And I hope to see more of you at the discussion. I'm going to post that in the chat one more time. Let me check if there were any questions. One question. Sometime back, I heard talk of 1,000 ATACMs being sent to Ukraine. Have I heard anything about that? I haven't in a while. About 1,000. 1,000. I heard about ATACMs being sent, but the exact number. That was agreed on September to send ATACMs. Let's see. The biggest update that I'm seeing on that is that it's still ongoing. So I believe that several ATACMs have been sent, but not all of them. Initial deliveries were just 20 or so missiles, but oh, here we go. The U.S. Army reportedly had nearly 1,500 ATACMS missiles as of late August, including over 360 with APAM warheads. Yeah, I guess to answer that question, there have been a few sent, but not enough. So hopefully we'll see the rest of those transferred over. All right, everybody. So I know that this is a little bit shorter than usual, but I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream here. And thank you, mods, for joining. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you wish to send a donation, PayPal is the best way to do so, and the links for that are in the description below. And yeah, I hope everyone has happy holidays, and I'll see you all again when we are back on next week. Oh, and yeah, okay, Tony already put the discussion in the link to the discussion in the chat. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Bye.